before you get fully settled, remember that we might need a few props for this, which would be a block or a book would do, or anything that's got a bit of height to it, and also a strap, but a belt will do for that just as well. And then come down to your starting position. I really like to start laying down. I feel that the nervous system, my body and also my mind is less active when I start the practice laying down, and it allows me to get into the practice a little bit quicker. So just rest your arms either down the sides of your body or even on your body, it's up to you, and the feet resting on the ground. And if you feel like closing your eyes down to settle back in, be my guest. And then just let the body breathe, really without you trying to change that or alter it. It's quite nice to just let the breath expose itself first of all, and then you can in time adapt it. But to begin with, just leave it alone. And just notice that subtle movement as your breath comes in and out. The breath just doing its work naturally. So begin to sense how deep your breath travels into your body. This helps us to understand how the nervous system is working. So if the breath feels quite free and it travels quite deeply, then you're probably quite calm and relaxed. If you sense it's not really able to move that far and there's a tightening maybe in the chest, then we probably have some anxiety or just some things on our minds. So if you can relax your diaphragm, that breathing mechanism, that piece of machinery to our breath, then the breath will come into the body deeper. So we're inviting the breath in to the lungs, and then the movement of your breath travels deeper down, so the belly will move and the pelvic floor will move away from you. So we try not to fill your belly with your breath. That can actually create tension in the body. So I like to think of the breath sort of passing behind the belly on its way to the pelvic floor. And then that's reversed as we breathe out, it's coming back through the body. Obviously there can be a lot going on in the body as we're breathing, and the magic to it as well can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming if we connect to all of it. But I just like to think of it as like a stream coming in down through this central part of the body and then returning back out. So just follow that for a few breaths. And maybe notice how the core muscles and the pelvic floor engage and lift on the exhale. And that's a lovely way to build the foundations of your practice from the inside out. And then continue with one eye on your breath, and then start to turn your head away as you breathe out. Turn your head back through the centre and then out to the other side. And just treat this as like a representation of your breath. Breathing softly, releasing softly. And releasing any neck tension perhaps you experience from sleep. And then settle in the middle, and then just bringing one knee, it doesn't matter which, in towards you, lacing your hands around the back of your thigh. And take that knee towards an armpit, and then slowly extend the opposite leg. And with the opposite leg, it's quite nice to just gently press the heel to the floor, just to settle and have a grounding point as you bring the opposite knee in a little bit more to the armpit. A nice cross stretch through this lower part of the body. And then bringing your straight leg back in, both feet to the floor, and then changing, other side, knee to the armpit, other leg can straighten, just a gentle heel press, and then open a little bit more, so open top to bottom a little bit more. Still with that eye on your breath. And then slide the straight leg back. The other foot can come down, and then change sides. Just one more time, extending the other leg out. And this time with the knee coming to the armpit, maybe move the knee side to side a little bit. Does that help you? Does that feel good? Does it give you something extra? And if it does, that's all good. If it doesn't, that's all good too. Just do what works best. And then sliding the straight leg back, both feet to the floor, and then switch sides. Knee to the armpit first, straight leg second. And then any movement with the bent knee, hip. And then slide the leg back, both feet on your mat, and then just walk them to the edges of your mat, and they're going to remain there. But both knees over to the left to begin with. So we've got this lovely windshield, what's called windshield wiper pose. And we're just going to lift the right knee first of all, and then let the left one come when it feels natural rather than you forcing. And then reversing that, so it will be the left knee lifting and rolling the back of the hip, and the right leg comes over too. So gently side to side. And just being a bit interested, if you can, on the rolling in of the top leg. Just take a look from the inside, if you like, how your thigh bone rolls in. And you just may notice there's a slight difference side to side, while One might feel easier than the other. And even perhaps moving from side to side, one hip feels easier than the other. I kind of have one hip, one leg that just glides a little bit easier in the joint than the other one. One is a bit more resistant. So just take a look at if there's anything there that I can do to help. Is it partly something in my mind? Is there a tightening in there that's just so habitual that I can release? Really letting them be separate. Really starting with one and letting the other one come on its own. And obviously you've got that option just to pause. Sometimes we need to do that. Just to catch up with the information, if you like, rather than just speeding through one to the other. And then when you've done that, let's bring both knees up, feet still remaining flat for the meantime. But if you have anything under your head now, if you wouldn't mind just moving that away just for a bit, I think it helps with this next pose. So settle into the back of the head, back of your shoulders, back of your pelvis. And then lift your knees in towards you and then take the legs in the air. Now they don't need to be straight. In fact, I would recommend they stay bent. And then extend the arms in the air and they can be slightly bent as well. So this is not where we're working through the arms of the leg, or actually in fact what we're trying to do is not work, which is actually harder. So we're a little bit floppy, allowing the weight to come down through your arms into your shoulder joints, into the back of the shoulder blades, and turning off some of the working in the arms and the wrists and the fingers. And the same applies for the legs. So you might need to just move your legs around a little bit until you find that optimal place where your legs don't really feel like they're doing anything. What you feel more of is a weight coming into the back of the pelvis. And what I find with this, which is really quite interesting, is when I do give in to the weight, especially the weight in my legs, I have a connection with my core that wasn't there previously. So by allowing everything to come back into the body, I'm naturally working up through the core, so it's just lightly lifting and holding my center of my body really well, my spine. So, I like to view this as a way to sort of fuel the spine, give it a bit of energy, give it a bit of life. Now just to play a little bit more with the spine, we're going to rock from side to side. Now you're probably not going to go too far because you're going to maintain floppy arms and legs. It's more about what's happening in the centre. So roll to one side of the body. You won't go far, like I say. And then roll back to centre and trying to hold all of this work that you're doing, which actually is non-working, strangely enough. Yeah, well, you're not working the arms, you're not working the legs, but you are asking the core to stabilise you as you balance a little bit on one side of your back. So you become more present on one side of your spine than the other. And I find when I come over and I'm more present on one side of the spine, I'm equally more present at that side of my body at the front. And then back to centre, rolling it just a little bit to the other side. Reminding yourself, floppy arms, floppy legs, because they have a habit of wanting to come in and play and get active. And we want to discourage that here. And then just a little bit more, one either side. So really not working the legs. You can have your feet, away from your buttocks. Nothing needs to be over the top of the pelvis or anything. And then come back to centre, and then just see, there's probably a little bit of giving in to the weight again, to the back of the shoulders, back of the pelvis. But do you have better awareness of your spine? The spine at the back, the spine at the front, the spine at the sides. And then release your feet to the floor. With the arms, keep them floppy, breathe in. And as you breathe out, gently releasing them over your head without lifting your rib cage, without bowing in your chest. Shoulder blades stay on the floor, and just go to where you can, to the point just before you might want to lift your ribs. So we're keeping the back down. And as you keep the back down, now extend out through the crown of your head. You're inviting a little bit of length to that spine, but you're still keeping your back on the floor. Out through the crown of the head and down through your tailbone. Well done. And then we'll slowly bring the arms back. Take them by your sides. And now bring your right foot on top of your left thigh. So don't let the foot come across the leg if you can help it. This is an easier way of aligning everything back into the hip socket. I kind of see now with the foot over the leg, it's a little bit of a cheat. It means you'll get your knee closer to your chest, but you won't get the same result in the hip. And this is for the hips, so that's why I keep the foot on the leg. So if this is where you need to be today and just guide your right knee away from you, that's fine. Or alternatively, you put a block or a book underneath your left foot and do the same. If you've got more mobility in the hip joint, then you can bring your left knee in towards you and then hold your hands around the back of your thigh. So if your chin really pokes up towards the ceiling, I suggest put something underneath your head, and that will help with this. Okay, so this can be pretty intense in the hip joint. Again, I like to just do a miniature movement. And then I try to release that feeling, that tight feeling. It's a reaction in the body, and if we can speak to that reaction and tell it that everything's okay, that it can soften a little bit, and the experience can change. And then from here, slowly releasing the left foot to the ground and your right foot, and then pause for a moment, just noticing how the sides feel. You can remind yourself of your central column, your spine, and then change. Left foot on the top of the right foot, the right leg, right thigh. And then we've got our options. Staying here, or putting on something underneath the right foot, or if you can go further, you're bringing that right knee towards you. And then just a little wriggle. If that doesn't work for you, it's fine, you don't need to do it, but I quite like it. It invites me to release the tension. I think when I initially go into it, it can be like, whoa, I can feel that. And then the wriggling just releases some of that. I'm not staying in the tension. I'm skirting around it for a little bit until I can actually settle in it. Remember, see if you can let the spine drop a little bit more. And then slowly, right foot to the ground, left foot to the ground, and then we'll just pause and feel that. There'll be some tingly feelings in the body, maybe, or something else. And then slowly roll yourself up, and then we're going to have our legs in a 90-90 position in the knee joint. Now I'm actually sitting on one hip and the other one is actually off the floor. And I'm turned towards that hip that's actually on the ground. So I'm actually looking at the inner thigh of that leg. But my foot is really away from me. It's not into the body, it's right away from me. And it's away from the other knee. So I'm just looking, yeah, that's right, Jane, you've moved it away. So set the back leg in the same way. So the foot is not into the buttock, it's actually out at a 90-degree angle, just like your front knee is as well. So as you're looking towards this front leg and the inner thigh, we're actually going to work the back leg, well, it's the back hip. But we keep the heel on the floor, but we lift the knee, and that means that the toes will lift, but the heel stays on the floor. So lift up on your inhale, and then back down on the exhale. Or if the other way around works better for you, that's fine as well. So we lift up, and then back down. But the idea here is that we stay with what we can handle, and not push this too far to the point where we fall back. That would be cheating. So we're lifting the knee and releasing it down. So I like to look over the front knee. I can see the other one in the side of my eye, but I tend to, if I'm looking, I tend to fall back. And don't be surprised if this feels tight. I've done a lot of walking this week and I can really feel it, but this will release it nicely. So we'll just do one more. Okay, now bring your hands, if you can, right over that front thigh. So there's the same arm as the back leg is the one that we're going to lift here. So we take the arm towards your toes, towards your feet, and inhale, bring that up and over your head, turning and twisting. You can use the other hand as a support, and then exhale, bring the arm down. So inhale, lift and lengthen here at the same time. Try not to poke too much out through your ribs. So think of your spine when you were laying down, how long it was. And that's what we're trying to give it here. Still give it length. And then we'll do one more breath in. And then release down. So, if we can not use the hands. If you need to use the hands and move to the other side, then that's fine. I just quite like to test myself, bring my hands to my heart, and then switch the legs round. So getting onto that other hip, looking at the other inner thigh, yeah. So if I was to draw a line, I'd kind of have my foot, my knee, my shin and my back ankle would be in a similar line to one another. Turning and having my fingers either side of that front thigh and getting ready. I find there's a mental process to this for the first one initially. So releasing weight down into the heel to lift the knee. My brain then gets it and I can switch off a little bit now and just let the movement take over. And if we're quite dominant on one side of the body, than the other. You might find that this is harder on one side than the other. So remember, you inhale up, exhale down, but if something else works for you, that's fine as well. So let's just have a couple more, and hopefully that's, I didn't actually count. I go on feeling quite a lot of the time. That to me feels roughly about the same. And then bringing the hands over that thigh, I'm just going to scoop myself onto the hip a little bit more. So it's the same arm as the back leg, taking it out to the side, and then so you start by your feet, and then inhale, bring it up and over your head, and then exhale back down. I'm trying to feel that full length in the spine and the interplay with your pelvis as you're doing this. So put your mind a little bit into your lower back of your pelvis. And again. And let's do our last one in this. And then coming back. And then just gathering your legs back together, coming onto your knees. We're going to have one leg straight out to the side. Now up to you, what's comfortable for your pelvis, whether you have your toes pointing away from you or towards the front. It's really up to you. But I'm up here on my fingertips. But again, if you need blocks, you could have those underneath your hands just to give you height. Some people, really like that. That might be better for your body. So from here, locate your tailbone, crown of your head. You've got that lovely line of the spine. Breathe in and go back on the exhale, trying to not take the tailbone outwards. Think of it in that midline. Breathe in again. So it's going inside the inner foot. You can tuck your toes under if that works for you. So this will get into the inner thigh of your straight leg. Obviously, the further back you go, the more intense it gets. And then this time as you come up, let's switch legs. Send the other one out. Inhale, draw back, breathe out. Keeping that length all the way through the spine. And then back you come on your knees, having your toes tucked under if you can. I know this can be painful, but it's good to stretch the soles of the feet. And keeping your head off the ground, keeping your arms straight. You can even arch your back a little bit and invite your tailbone to go down. It's just a little bit of weight back into the feet to stretch all the way through the plantar, the soles of your feet. Breathe. And lift up a little bit. Hop off your knees, take your hips to the air. Down dog. So do a little bit of investigation in your downward dog. It's your first one probably this morning. And just sense, what your body needs. It might need a wriggle. It might need stillness. So you might need to move your pelvis. Bring that movement up into your shoulders. And then slowly return to your knees. And then we'll come into cat and cow. So I like to have the hands slightly forwards of your shoulders. It's kinder to those wrists. Knees are hip bone distance apart and the feet directly out the back. So as we're inhaling, we're lengthening the spine. So if we remember how we were on the floor a moment ago and try and avoid really dropping through the back and getting lazy in this back area. We've been cultivating lots of length even up to this point, so let's keep that. So it will look like you're doing less if somebody was to see you, but internally you really sense much more. And on the exhale, arching through your back. And then inhale forwards with that length. Exhale, arching. And just a couple more. Start to bring the toes tucked under at the back. And then shift your hips towards your heels, lift the knees off, and then the hips come in the air. Down dog. So for this one, we're just going to pause here for a moment if you can, and breathe well, but also to get comfortable, to experience what's going on in your body in down dog today. So is there anything within your arms and your shoulders that you can soften to help the experience? Can you keep the back nice and long? And is there any overworking in the legs? Can you perhaps bend a little bit more to assist that? Maybe you need to lengthen through the back of the legs by taking your sit bones to the ceiling. You know, there's many possibilities. It's tune in. And then start to take steps to the top of your mat. Plant your feet with real intention. So noticing those 3 points under the soles of your feet. Underneath the knuckle of the big toe, little toe, and the heel. Knees are bent. Take the arms out to the sides. Push down through your feet. And then release your arms up. And then the hands can come back into the center. So with our starting point here, just something that's quite nice to explore is where you place your arms when you bring them up for the inhale. So sometimes just having them directly at the side can really work. You could draw the arms up, and I know that a lot of practices in yoga will encourage a real lifting of the heart, which brings that deep bow into the back. But we've been working and making it nice and long, and that would just collapse our back if we were to do that. So this is about what helps you to keep your back nice and long here. So maybe it is the arms at the sides, maybe it's the arms slightly forwards when you bring them up for the inhale, yeah? So let's just do a couple of these, 3 of these first of all, and then I'll change it. So breathe in, gives you that opportunity to find a good position. Release the arms down, and again, maybe find somewhere else. And release the arms down. And somewhere different. Okay, so now you've kind of worked out what's quite good this morning, so we'll go with that. So breathe in, lifting, and then as you bend your knees, fold over your legs, release your hands down. Inhale, come up to a halfway position. I like hands on the shins, taking the chest away from the pelvis. Hands can go flat, and then stepping back into plank position, and then releasing the knees, chest, belly, and we're down. Okay, so 3 little cobras. Again, remember keeping that spine nice and long. So I'm really plugging my pelvis into the floor without tightening through the buttocks. Obviously that will affect the lower back, but just a little press through the pubic bone, and I'm driving my chest forwards and up on the inhale, and I'm not coming up high. I'm more interested in the experience of a long spine. And then from here, tuck in the toes, lift all the way back. Down dog. And breathe. Settle into your dog. Has anything you've done there help the dog feel a little bit more comfortable? And then extending one leg in the air, bending the knees. Really squeeze that into your chest and then plant it by the same hand. And then push off your other toes, folding of your legs. Now, down into those 3 points to come all the way up. Remember where you like your arms today. And then down. So just to bring in something different here, perhaps take one arm forwards and one arm back as you're inhaling, introducing a little bit of a twist. And then release down. So we need to go to the other side. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms where you like, and then bend. Exhale. Inhale, find that really long spine, hips away from your head. Hands can go flat, step back, dropping the knees, chest, belly, pelvis. And then just 3 small cobras. Up on the inhale, down on the exhale. So just take note of what's going on in your back as you're doing this. Tuck the toes, lift back all the way to down dog. So remembering which leg you lifted last time, you're going to now lift the opposite one. So breathe in, bend the knee, foot can come by the other hand, planting those feet. Now you're going to come up and place the arms in the air. That's that new version for you today. So breathe in, up you come. And then exhale. One arm forwards, one arm back. Change sides. Taking the arms in the air, breathe up. And breathe out as we come over. Inhale to that pausing point. And then down you go. One leg back and the other. Knees. And then the chest. So just for 2 little cobras here, just for experimentation purposes. Inhale, lift up. Really notice what's happening in the mid-back, lower back. Do that again, really register it. And then lift yourself up. Take your right knee to the center of the mat and then wiggle your right foot over to the left a little bit, and you can probably feel the top of your thigh. So we know this as pigeon, like a pigeon pose, but it's not quite, it's a variation. So cobra pigeon. So have the arms forwards of your shoulders. Breathe in, and as you exhale, fold forwards over your leg. Now notice your back, mid-back, lower back. Inhale up and exhale down. And there's probably quite a difference in sensation. Okay, and then take the hands back. Let's switch legs. So with the left leg into the midline, wiggle your toes a bit to the other side, probably until you feel the hip on the other leg. And then breathe in, and as you breathe out, really keep that spine long and fold over. Nice long back, no tension, yet we're folding forwards. And then from here, taking that leg back, tucking the toes under, and then lift to your down dog. So let's take the right leg in the air this time. Bend the knee, foot comes to your hand. You leave the left leg where it is, but turn the heel to the floor. So we really want to make sure this right knee is at a right angle, it's bent. And as you push down, that's going to bring you all the way up into your warrior two. So you might feel like you need to straighten the leg. Yeah, bringing the hands together, back in, and then out as you bend the knee. So this could be an inhale as you come in with a straight leg, and as you bend, going out on the exhale. So we want to have equal weight as much as we can through the front and the back leg. The front leg is a bit easier to organise. Obviously the knee is over the ankle, and it may even go further, and that's fine. But although some schools have thought of yoga that's dangerous, but it's, you know, we always take our knee over our ankle when we go up a flight of stairs. The back leg though, think of this inner line as a place to really connect with, and down from the ankle, or the ankle coming up. Last time, exhale, careful with that front knee, Sonia. Keep it tracking, straight line if you can. That's it. And then turning to your front leg. So you come off the heel, but you're on your toes at the back. Again, they're on their tracks, because if they're not, you'd be very wobbly here, yeah? So we have that separation that really helps with the balance. Okay, so take one hand to your hip, so the same leg that's behind you, actually the opposite way, sorry. Same hand as your front leg onto the hip, and then extend the arm out in front, the opposite arm out in front. So this is the same as the leg at the back. Stick your thumb in the air, this is just for instruction purposes. Relax the shoulder into the socket, so bring the arm down, draw the bone back in, and taking the arm out to the side, thumb still facing up, until you get literally out to all the way to the side. Turn the thumb down and then draw the arm behind you. So watch that you're not turning to go with it. Yeah, everything stays centered. So you only go as far as you can go with that turn. Yeah, bring the thumb back to the side, thumb up, and bring it forwards. And then drop the arm down a little bit, out to the side, turn the thumb down, and then back. Drop the thumb a little bit more. Inhale, turn the thumb down, and exhale. And then all the way and back. Last one. Turn it down, out to the side, and then back you come. And then slowly bringing the hands either side of that front foot and releasing back to down dog. So we've held that position, so you might notice that your right leg and your right buttock, and maybe the right side of your back can feel that. So we're just going to give it the opportunity to release. So ease off through your left heel, slightly bend the knee, and then take a bit more weight into your right leg, your right buttock, and then diagonally across to your left hand. So you feel a real stretch through from left hand to right heel. And then release that. And then this time, left leg is coming in the air, bend the knee, bring that through your hands. I'm just going to scoot round. So the right heel comes to the floor, front knee is bent to help you come all the way up. The strength is there. And if you want to, inhale, hands to the centre and straighten that front leg, and then releasing back out. So you can engage and release. You know, if something gets too intense, yeah, you can engage and release this. Release when the legs are straight, engage when we go back out. So this is your inhale, and this will be your exhale. However, not completely rigid. If something else works, that's fine as well. All right, last time, and then back we come, this time turning. So we come off that back heel, making sure the leg stays on its track, yeah, the front knee staying on its track. So the same hand as the knee onto the hip, the other arm can come out straight in front of you, thumb up. So shoulder height, releasing the arm bone into the socket, and then inhale out to the side, turn the thumb down, exhale, take it behind. Whoa, might have already just registered big difference one side to the other. Drop the thumb down a little bit, inhale, thumbs down and then back behind you. Sternum stays in the middle here, rolling back. Drop it down a little bit more, out to the side, thumb down and behind. And the lower you go down, you probably have better range of movement, which would be totally normal. But you see, when we go further, actually there's more work to it. All right, hands either side of that front leg. Leg can come back. So we've got this little stretching across the body. So release through your right leg, you can even bend the knee, and then stretch from the right hand to the left heel. All the way across the back, down into the back of the pelvis. And then slowly onto hands and knees. So from here, just keep your right leg where it is, behind that right knee. And then just turn your left foot over the back of your right heel. So you're literally just picking up your left leg, lower part of your left leg, placing it on the heel. And then slowly moving back. Again, remembering that straight line of your spine as much as you can. There's a tendency here to have a little bit of a bow. But release back into your left hip. And then coming up and switching sides. I will confess, this pose took me a while for my body to get it and to like it. But the more I gave into the hip, the easier I felt it. And it's like a stretch down one side of the spine. And then up you come. Let's try that again. Switching sides, going back. second time around it might just be easier. Your body might feel the suggestion. So even though I'm leaning back into my left hip, I'm actually feeling the stretch down the the right side of my spine. Leaning into the left, I'm feeling it on the right. And then up we can come. Last time, other side. And as you come up, take yourselves around onto your bum and get in your strap or your belt. Now I've put the prop for my head, so as we come down I've got my head can rest on something. That might not work for you, you might prefer to be completely flat. Okay, from here with both feet on the floor, knees are bent, reminding ourselves of that lovely long spine. And then using your strap or your belt, you can take this around the right foot, or it doesn't matter because we'll go to the other side in a moment. But the strap is just resting at the base of your toes. Yeah, that bone bit there. It's a nice position for the strap to be. So the strap is just to hold the leg in the air. It's not to force the leg to go somewhere. So this is about not working as opposed to working. So the leg is just directly above the hip or the pelvis, the hip bone, the hip joint. And like dead bug, it's very similar. This feeling is very similar. It's a giving in to your weight down into your hips. So if we, I think I said the other day that it always surprises me how far my leg needs to be away from me for that to happen. And this is obviously why you need the strap, because it just stops it from falling away. But obviously in past years in yoga, the strap was always used to pull the foot over the head. And now we're kind of doing the opposite. It's a different thing. It's not the hamstring stretch, but it is a release. You could actually get a little bit of a hamstring stretch very delicately here as you release down. As long as you've got the down feeling going on, you could invite just a small movement in the ankle bone to take the heel towards the ceiling. And then there's work going, just a small amount of work going on in the back of the leg. But if that is making you work your quad, which it is me, then it's probably not going to be of benefit here to what we're trying to do. So where you place your foot kind of matters as well. I mean, we all have different turn out and turn ins with our feet. So just check where your toes like to face. And then if you want to extend the other leg, but without the top leg moving, then you can do that. And then that's that diagonal feeling, with the long straight spine in the middle. I find this very soothing. It's a very neutralizing pose. It shouldn't feel difficult. If it does, you're working too hard, and in which case switch off a bit. So if you bring your straight leg back in and put that inside the strap, you can just do a nifty little changeover. without too much effort. And then keep your right foot on the ground for the meantime. Sort the left leg out in the air to begin with. Remember the bones going into the pelvis. So you want to sense, if you've got the position right, you'll really feel the back of the pelvis being taken to the floor, but naturally, organically, rather than you forcing it. Note where the toes want to turn. If you want to do that little hamstring lengthening, then you can. But if that brings the quad on, then I wouldn't do it. And then straightening the right leg. Take your time, bring that leg down. And then start to set up for Shavasana. So however that will work for you today. Maybe you want something underneath your legs. Or maybe you want your legs up, in which case you can put them over your sofa or against a wall. Any lovely additions like blankets or eye pillows are quite nice here. So the purpose of your Shavasana is to let all of the new information the body has received be settled. Let your mind kind of be out of that process as much as you can allow. And then just notice and feel your body now. And maybe a feeling of real acceptance, because you can feel the bones, feel the muscles and everything else, the tendons, the ligaments, your nerves, the blood, everything feeling comfortable, united. take a moment to enjoy your last few moments in Shavasana, or if you need to remain, that's obviously your choice. Maybe move the body, stretch the body, hug the body. And then when you can, bring yourself up, just ready to close. So we'll inhale. Now remember where you like your arms to go. Inhale, let the palms come together, and then come back down into your heart center. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.